What is going on, guys? Me and Griff are back. Cole is up in Big Ten country this weekend for Thanksgiving, but we had to bring you all a show for this week. We got clean old fashioned hate this weekend. I'll be in the building. I'm sure Griff will be in the building. He's always there. And it's one of these games where we can't look ahead to LSU as fans. No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna walk all over these doormats. Griff, run the intro.
10, 12, he's running over people. Oh, you hurt the walking. We just stepped on their face with a hobnail boot and broke their nose. We just crushed their face.
Defense, 40, 30, they won't catch him. Go, Swift, into the end zone, touchdown! The freshman just ran it back to Philadelphia. Throws near sideline, and it's intercepted. Intercepted, Keely Ringo at the 21. Off he goes, 40, 50, 45, 40, 35, 30, near sideline, breaks the tackle, 20, 15, 10, 5, touchdown, 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 Georgia.
I know I'm asking a lot, you guys, but hunker it down one more time.
Never gets old. Griff, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Just filled up on some Thanksgiving. Had some good turkey. I love a good turkey.
Yeah, I caught a lot of heat this week because I made my Thanksgiving tier list with my favorite Thanksgiving food, and everybody. Cole said it too. He's like, "You're a carb guy. You got a lot of sides." And I'm like, "Man, the sides are the best part." That's what I do it for, man.
I've always been a big turkey guy. I love some turkey. Mashed potatoes are obviously up there. I think you had a pretty good list, though. To be honest, I didn't like ham as low as it was. I'm okay with ham.
That's fair. I knew that one was going to be controversial. I'm not a pork guy personally. Like I'll eat prosciutto and pulled pork like barbecue, but other than that, I'm not a huge pork guy. I knew pumpkin pie is pretty controversial. Deviled eggs weren't on the list, but I would have deviled eggs in the hell tier too. I don't eat deviled eggs. That's gross.
Deviled eggs are not my thing either.
Yeah. So we got Georgia Tech this week, and before we start the Bash Fest, because Lord knows they've been pathetic. They really are just a sad program. But I'm going to give them a little bit of credit because they did something really smart. And that smart thing was getting rid of Jeff Collins. Because as soon as they got rid of Jeff Collins, they go and you get a big win at Pittsburgh. You think, okay, first, live dog coming with an interim head coach. Then they get a win against Duke, who's been pretty good this year. They did lose to Virginia, who we won't comment on Virginia's play too much, but Virginia at the time was not a very good football team. They got crushed by Florida State.
That Virginia-Georgia Tech game was one of the hardest football games I've ever had to suffer through watching.
I had the under in that one, and it was free as free gets, just about.
Yeah, it was.
And then they beat Virginia Tech, which Virginia Tech's bad this year, but that's quality. Lost to Miami, which is kind of ugly, but then they come out and beat North Carolina, and that was a good win. And, I mean, they're 3-3 under Brent Key, and that's a pretty good accomplishment considering this is a team that I didn't think was going to win 3 games at all this year.
Oh, no doubt, yeah.
So, credit to Brent Key. I got to say he's got him playing well. I think they should hire him full-time. I don't think they will, but whatever makes them work. Hopefully they hire maybe they'll get Dan Mullen. I feel like that's a good spot for him.
I feel like they're gonna make some absurd hire that's just ridiculous. Like a Geoff hire. Freaking dude, I wish that guy was still coaching there. He was just too funny. I'll never forget that first game that he played against us, and they kicked an onside kick just randomly, and they got it, and he started doing push-ups on the sideline. I was like, oh, this guy's awesome. Like, this is gonna be the best guy to play against ever.
He had a little Dan Mullen to him, man. He was just a goofball.
He had like the Dan Mullen smile. They both had that like goofy looking smile.
Toothy smile, a little underbite. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a fun stat today that I saw on Twitter. So if you combine all the points that Georgia Tech has scored in the last 4 games against Georgia, which is 35, and you gave them 35 points in all 4 of the last 4 games, they still would be 0-4. Georgia's hung 38, 45, 52, and 45 on them. Absolute domination. I expect that to continue. But general thoughts on the game, I don't know if you had anything that you wanted to start with. I think this one could be low scoring. That's going to be my under this week. A little spoiler alert, but go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I do think it could be low scoring. I also think the Dogs could just like empty like the tank on them. Like I feel like senior day, I know the weather might play a factor too, but I mean like if it's going to be Stet's senior day, I feel like you got to send him out right. You got to let him have a pretty decent day. Let him toss the rock around a little bit. And, there's a lot of guys on this team. They're going to get their shine on Saturday just because of it's senior day, That's always a fun day. It's always fun to see those guys go out there and get a chance to show off.
Yeah, we could see a few wrinkles. We could see something. Maybe we'll get like a Nazir Stackhouse rushing touchdown, or somebody really off the wall get a carry. I will say, this could be one of those games similar to Kentucky, but Georgia Tech does not have the defense that Kentucky has, where it's just going to be a lot of run the ball, run the ball, run the ball, and get a couple of the seniors involved in the pass game, things of that nature. I don't expect Georgia to come out and just try to put some style points on them.
Yeah.
But I mentioned this on Twitter, and I think we're going to see another big game from Brock Bowers. I think this is going to be Brock Bowers' game this year. He's going to have 2 or 3 touchdowns over 100 yards. They're going to do what they did last year and just unleash him.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see that. It's always fun to see Brock go off. I mean, literally, there's no time when that's not fun.
Yeah, I mean, they don't have anybody that can match up with him. Not a soul.
Yeah, I mean, nobody in the country really does. So, I mean, it's hard, especially that nerdy school in Atlanta. There's no way.
Yeah, I completely agree. But some guys to watch for them. I mean, they're on their 3rd string quarterback. Is Gibson starting Saturday? I don't really.
I have no idea. I mean, I would assume so. I mean, is he the guy that ran out of bounds against Virginia? That's not that guy, is it?
I don't think that was him. I think that was the 2nd string guy who is also hurt now.
Oh, he got hurt too? Dang.
Yeah. Because it was Sims, and then it was that guy, and then
the Sims guy has flashes every now and then, or he did. Like at times you'd be like, oh, this guy's a kind of good athlete, and then I don't know, he's just on a Georgia Tech, so I mean he has to be bad.
Yeah, what does it really matter at that point? But I expect this one. Hopefully we get this one over soon. One thing that I did know, I think this was John Tweet Talk Sports or John Tweet Sports, whatever his @ is on Twitter. He had a pretty good point about this, where he said, "I'm sure Kirby's excited that we got a 12 o'clock game against Tech, that we can get that over with, get it out of the way, and LSU has to play at Texas A&M at 7 o'clock. So we'll get a little bit of extra prep time."
Yeah, that is always nice, especially like it's nice like. I Georgia Tech, playing them at the end of the year, it's just felt so insignificant, like almost my entire life. And like sometimes I have to like make myself hate them enough to like for the game to feel like important to me, because they're just so bad. There's nothing respectable about them.
We've talked about it too on the show, man. Like the younger generation, like people our age, we really don't hate Tech as much as the older people do, because they were around when Georgia Tech was like perennially very good, and we just never really had to deal with that. I mean, they've had a couple years where they were solid. You think back to like Reggie Ball, Calvin Johnson. Man, I was in like elementary school. Like that didn't hurt me no more.
And you think about what Paul Johnson did. Like, I think that I feel like he did a good job at Georgia Tech, only because he just ran the triple option. Like he knew that they weren't going to out talent anybody or like or out scheme anybody. So it was just like, let's just run this gimmicky thing and see if we can like sneak out some wins every now and then. And, he definitely did. And, when we talk about Tennessee, being 2014 Mississippi State, Georgia Tech beat that 2014 Mississippi State team in what bowl was that?
The Orange Bowl.
Yeah. So they whooped them too. It was pretty bad beating.
Yeah, absolutely. So a couple of things to watch for. I think really all it really comes down to is stopping the run. Zach Gibson, he has a 55% completion percentage. He averages about 6 yards a throw. He has 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. He's been sacked 9 times. He's not going to beat you. Yeah. The running backs, they have a couple guys that average close to 5 yards to carry. Hassan Hall, Dante Smith. You keep those guys bottled up, they're not going to do anything on offense, and their defense shouldn't be too much of a challenge. It's really I don't want to say there's no way Georgia can lose this game. I guess you could call it a look-ahead spot, but I feel like in rivalry games, Kirby makes sure they're always focused. I'm not worried about it. Hopefully, we can get this one over quick. Nobody gets hurt. Let's wrap it up and celebrate an undefeated season. That's about it. Or undefeated regular season.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and that's crazy too. Like when you talk about like this is about to be our 2nd year in a row going undefeated in the regular season.
It's crazy.
I mean, we never got one of those in my entire lifetime up to this point, and then we're about to get 2 in a row. And that's just absolutely insane. We are living in a time of Georgia football that is just unprecedented, where you're playing 12 games a year and winning every single one of them. It's freaking awesome. It's so good. And it's always nice to just sit back and, think about that. It's Thanksgiving. That's a good thing to be thankful for.
I was thinking the same thing today. Somebody made the comment there, like, I'm so thankful for Kirby Smart. And I was like, damn, you know what? I am too. He's brought me a lot of happiness.
Yeah. I put out a TikTok today, and it was like things we're thankful for today. and one of them was Kirby Smart. One of them was like Stetson Bennett, the mailman, and then I put our defensive backs on there. Obviously, we love us some Malachi Starks and Jalen Carter, and then the last one was fraudulent head coaches with Josh Heupel as the as the headpiece. Had to throw some shade in there.
I think if they win this game, I think that'll move Kirby. I think he'll be. I can't remember. I think it'll only be 3 losses against Georgia's biggest rivals, though. Maybe 4 because we got 2 to Florida, 1 to Auburn, 1 to Tennessee, and then 1 to Texas. So maybe it's 5. But he's done exceptionally well with his rivals, and I mean, the guy's what 70-something and 15 already. I think he's going to be 75 and 15 if they win Saturday. So I mean, it's just incredible. Like it's unprecedented times. You know, there's probably not a program in America that wouldn't trade places with Georgia right now, and it's
no doubt.
It's nice to go into this week of the year because you look around the college football slate. You look at Ohio State playing Michigan. You look at Tennessee playing Vanderbilt. You look at Florida playing Florida State. Like games that these guys could easily lose, and you know, we just don't have to worry about that. You know, we know Kirby's going to go out there and do the job. You know, he's not going to let these kids fall asleep at the wheel, and it's great, man. I can't say enough about it.
It's crazy though. I mean, like that Ohio State Michigan game, it means so much, and I bet they want to play that game earlier in the year. Like it kind of sucks to play that at the end of the year because for whatever reason, losing a game at the end of the year means so much more than losing a game at the beginning of the year. If you lose a game at the beginning of the year, nobody really cares. I mean, people forgot Oregon's lost to us like that after they started rattling off some wins, and you know they ended up not working out for them. But I mean,
if you think about it, if Oregon doesn't, let's say Michigan loses to Ohio State by 3, and then Oregon didn't lose last week and they went out. Okay, well, Oregon lost by 50 to us, damn near 50. They'd still put Oregon in over Michigan. I do know they have the conference championship, but that loss seems like so long ago. I mean, even if Michigan only lost by 3, they'd be like, oh, no, Oregon, it'd probably go differently with Georgia. That's just how it is.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, to Michigan and Ohio State up to this point, it feels like they've played no one. I mean, Notre Dame, that win's looking a lot better for Ohio State right now. But that team that they played at the beginning of the year of Notre Dame was not the same team that Notre Dame is playing right now. Like
it's the same thing with Florida State and LSU. Honestly, both of those teams have been a lot better.
It's the same thing, and you know, like because that same team lost to Marshall a couple of weeks after Ohio State barely squeaked by them, and you know they're playing a lot better now. I'd like to see that game played now. That would be an interesting rematch to see, but I mean, like you can't do that. So I'm excited for Ohio State Michigan though. I mean, you know, everybody's on Michigan, and it feels like Ohio State might just blow them out at this point.
I have Ohio State in the points. I don't think that's just the public's way too heavy on Michigan. It's either going to go one of 2 ways. Ohio State's going to blow them out, or Michigan's going to do the same thing they did last year where they just push them around.
Yeah, and I want to see Ohio State win just because I want a shot at those fools. Like I'm ready for Georgia to get that matchup. You know, I feel like I've interacted with so many Ohio State fans, like over my years as a Georgia fan, like randomly, and we've just never played them. We played them one time, we beat them, so we own y'all. But you know, I want to play those guys again.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting too because you talk about schedule too with Ohio State's schedule. Michigan played legitimately 3 of probably the 5 worst teams in college football to start the year. They played Hawaii, which UConn's been a lot better, but I mean,
yeah, UConn has been actually solid. Like,
and then they played Colorado State. Like they have had a joke of a non-conference schedule.
Yeah, Colorado State is bad too.
Yeah, they really haven't been tested, and they're going into Columbus. I just think it's going to end up being Ohio State. We'll see. But while we're on the topic, let's do playoff predictions. We can update them. We'll take one last crack at it before things really get spicy. It's interesting too because USC. We talked about Notre Dame briefly. USC has Notre Dame this weekend, and I don't think that's a gimme for them.
It is not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Not the way Ohio or Notre Dame is playing right now. Like they're playing good football, and USC. I think they're good. I really do. I think Lincoln Riley. I think this might be his best put together team that he's had in his tenure as a head coach. I don't think any of the Oklahoma teams were built as well as this one. Maybe that one in 2017 that played Georgia. That one was pretty good. But this team is really good. And Caleb Williams might be the most talented quarterback that he's had. That dude is unbelievable.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if he won the Heisman. I definitely think he's probably the front runner right now, I would say. we'll see how the rest of the season goes. If USC wins out, I think it's his award to lose, unfortunately. But hey, Stetson could have a couple good games. Once again, this is one of the things that always pains me. I always say this is Dan Wolken's best take. He says if you turn in your Heisman vote before conference championship weekend, you should have your vote taken away. And I couldn't agree with one of that.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, because that's the biggest game of the year for a lot of teams. You've seen how much it matters for Georgia or has mattered for Georgia and the SEC in the past couple of years. I mean, not last year, I guess, because both teams were so good that they were going to make the playoff. But 2018, 2019, those are years that if Georgia doesn't have to play that game, we're in.
Yeah.
So.
And I think if Georgia does take care of business Saturday, I think there's no way they get left out, even if they lose to LSU. I've seen a lot of Alabama fans talk about, we still got a path. We still got a path. And they do.
They do. Yeah, it's narrow. I don't want to see them get it.
It is a narrow path, let me tell you. But it would invite Clemson would have to lose. USC would have to lose maybe twice. Because if they lose to Notre Dame and still win their conference championship, they might still have a leg up over Alabama. Georgia has to win. They need us to win bad. Because if LSU beats us, there's no chance. They have no shot.
Yeah,
because LSU and Georgia are both going to get in.
Yeah.
And then they would need TCU to lose maybe twice. It's just they need a lot of help. But I said it on the show. This is kind of shaping up for Clemson to sneak back in, and I think they're going to. And that's
they really might. I mean, I never had them just out of it from the get-go. I mean, that loss sucked for them, but they definitely have some opportunities. The North Carolina, if they play them in the ACC championship, is that already set? Are they already set to play them?
I think so. I believe so.
But I mean, that win doesn't look quite as good now. So I mean, when you stack it up against TCU, if they go undefeated, or USC, they probably don't get in over either of those teams if they're both undefeated or one loss. But TCU actually does have a pretty good resume when you stack it up.
The thing that I think is just I'm going to stick up for TCU too, because people were like, oh, they get killed in the playoffs. They get killed in the playoffs. Okay, well, they haven't lost. So they should just not go to the playoffs because you think they would lose. That's just a stupid thing to say.
Yeah, you thought they were going to lose all year. I mean, you probably put.
Why play the regular season?
You probably put the house on them -7 versus, or Texas -7 versus them, and you got boned. I mean,
if they don't lose, they're getting in. And if you don't like that, if they get killed, whatever, but they've earned it. You cannot dispute that they have absolutely earned it. And I think, according to maybe FPI or whatever, I think they have the toughest schedule in the country.
Yeah, they've played a lot of tough games. I mean, the Big 12, we've talked about how good it looks up and down. I mean, it's been a solid conference this year. At the top, there's not just a team that really rises above the rest, it feels like. I mean, TCU, though, their record has. But, I mean, in terms of, how good their team is, I don't know how much better they are than a lot of the other teams. But
and I think we had Iowa State last, and they're bowl eligible.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good conference. TCU's played a tough schedule. And like I said, they deserve it. I just think it's so stupid when people are like, well, I say people. It was mostly Tennessee fans before they got absolutely embarrassed. Oh, we would smoke TCU. TCU's going to get killed by whoever. Okay, well, let them play. Why play the regular season if you're just going to say, oh, a team that's they won all their games, they still can't go to the playoffs?
Also, TCU has just won in some crazy ways this year. That sequence at the end of the game versus Baylor might have been the craziest thing I've ever seen. I was like, what are they doing? Was that planned? Did they plan that, or did that just happen? Did they just come out there and execute that perfectly? There's no way, right?
I think they did. On the fly? Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I do, as nice as I am being to TCU, I do think they're going to lose if they play against Kansas State. TCU had a stretch of 5 or 6 games where they either knocked out the starting quarterback or did not have to see the starting quarterback because they were hurt, 5 or 6 games in a row. I think Quinn Ewers broke that cycle, but they won that game. But Kansas State was up 10 on them whenever Adrian Martinez got knocked out. Yeah. I think Clemson is going to get the 4 spot. I think USC is going to get the 3rd spot. I think USC is going to beat Notre Dame, but you talk about Clemson getting back in the playoffs. If Notre Dame beats USC, that makes Clemson look all the more better.
Yep.
So I think it's going to go Clemson, USC, Ohio State, Georgia. I think that's going to be your 4.
I like that. I'm gonna stick with TCU. I think it'll be Georgia, Ohio State, TCU, and USC. And I would love to play USC. I don't know which spot they would put those in. I think 3 and 4 would kind of be interchangeable there. I feel like TCU might get a little bit of the nod just because they have no losses. But if USC, they can't play Utah anymore, I guess. But, I mean, if we talked about them avenging their loss, like that's always something the committee loves. So they may get a bump there, but that's not going to happen anymore. So, but I mean, they're going to play a tough conference championship game, versus
they'll get Oregon or they might
Oregon?
get UCLA again. I think it's going to be Oregon though. I think that's how that is shaping up. I'm not 100% sure because theirs isn't it's just like the top 2. It's like the Big 12.
Right. But regardless, that's a tough game.
Yeah, and USC I think would be I think in order of teams you would want to play in the first round, I think TCU is one just because of the style of football that they play. They're a Big 12 team. And similar to Tennessee too, if their offense is getting shut down, you can gash their defense and just kind of lean on them with the run. And USC is similar in that way too. Caleb Williams is about all they have. I don't know if Travis Dye is done for the season, but I know he's out right now. And it's really just Caleb Williams. They go as Caleb Williams goes. And if you could stop him, they don't have anything else. Jordan Addison's a fantastic player, but I mean, if you can handle those two, that's really about all they got.
Well, I mean, and when you talk about how talented we are at defensive back, I mean, I feel like we can handle one receiver. But Jordan Addison is really, really good. He would definitely give us some trouble. And same thing with Marvin Harrison for Ohio State. But that's his name, right? Marvin Harrison.
Yeah.
So, but we're just those dudes on defense. So
I'm not scared of anybody. I'll play anybody, any place.
I'm just excited to play a game that feels like it really, really matters again because, these past few weeks after Tennessee, it's been kind of a downer because, it's just felt like, oh, we're going to blow these guys out.
We had a little spice in the Mississippi State game when they ran that punt back at halftime and then we pulled away. Kentucky game was a snoozer. Should take care of business against Georgia Tech. And then LSU, I think, will present a decent challenge. I think LSU can keep it close for a little bit at least. I think we will cover the spread against them just because they do have flaws and they've been hot, but they've also beaten some bad teams. And, they got that nice home field advantage. And I told you when I bet them over 6.5 wins to start the year, I said, when a team has a home field advantage like that, they can win a lot of games that they really shouldn't. And hey, I mean, the credit to them because they got hot and they won the games they needed to win. But I'm not too scared by a team that got romped by Tennessee like that at home. That's just kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Brian Kelly is a good coach. I really do. I think he's a pretty solid coach. But when it comes to big games,
and Kirby knows Brian Kelly.
He does.
Kirby knows Brian Kelly, and we've seen him in the playoffs. We've seen him in big spots. Notre Dame never had to play a conference championship game. I'm sure they would have lost a fair share of those if he was there. But So
this is new territory for Brian Kelly.
Seriously. So you said you got TCU, USC, Ohio State, Georgia.
Yeah, obviously dogs number one. I mean,
I feel like those three are a pretty safe bet. But dude, it's college football, man. You just absolutely never know.
And it's crazy because like we were talking about all these different scenarios like a few weeks ago, and I was like, it's all going to work itself out because it always does, and it has. It's all worked itself out, and now it feels like it's 4 to 5 teams that have a really, really good chance to get in, and then outside of that, like everybody is just hoping everybody loses.
Yeah, and I like talking about the college football playoff rankings. I don't like when people get so tore up about them.
Yeah,
like this week, people are like, "Oh, Penn State here, LSU here, Tennessee here is a joke," and I'm like, "This is not like these aren't decided. This isn't the playoffs."
Yeah,
you know
the
that, right?
the only ones that matter are the top 4, especially like, and they don't even matter until the end of the season. Like, I mean, Tennessee being number 1, that never mattered ever.
Yeah, I guess you could say it mattered for 4 days. No, it didn't matter. It didn't even matter then. No, what am I saying? But yeah, no, it's like people are so upset and say, oh, how could you have Michigan at 3 instead of Ohio State at 2? Like just hypothetically, it's like, well, they're going to play this weekend, so whoever wins will probably go to 2.
Yeah,
it just doesn't make any sense. But I'm not worried about it.
People will get so upset over rankings. I'm like, guys, like you just win your games. It doesn't matter what the ranks are.
I did have an interesting at Thanksgiving today. I had an interesting conversation where somebody was asking me. They were like, "Well, what's Georgia's best win?" And I just looked at him. I was like, "Brother, when you don't lose any games, it don't matter what your best win is."
I mean,
you don't have to worry about quality wins when you don't have.
It's
any
not
losses.
like Oregon and Tennessee are not quality wins anymore just because they lost another game. Like, I mean, those are still quality wins.
Well, if we're going by the Tennessee fan chart, let's see: Florida, Kentucky, Mississippi State, South Carolina. Sanford hasn't lost an FCS game. That's like 7 or 8 ranked wins, right?
Yeah, so that's huge. That's huge. Dude, I can't get enough of Tennessee fans trying to cope with the loss of lost to South Carolina. I can't get enough of it.
I do love to when they tell us they're like, we're all you guys think about. You're so obsessed. I'm like, no, dude, we're just making fun of you. I promise.
It's so we had to listen to you guys spout nonsense for months.
And you think we're not going to throw it back in your face?
We have to. I mean, it's our only option. We have no choice. So.
All right. Well, we have Cole's picks here. So you want to just go ahead and read his off? Like we'll read all four of his off.
Yeah. Let's read them off. Let's see.
All right. So Cole is going to take Wake Forest minus 3.5. Who does Wake Forest play?
I saw it earlier.
Oh, they play Duke.
Yeah.
Okay, so Wake Forest, that's a random one. Wake Forest. Oh no, he changed it to TCU minus 10. So he's going with TCU this weekend, and TCU is playing Iowa State. I kind of like that. And then he has Missouri plus 3.5. They play Arkansas, correct?
Yes, they do at home too.
I like that
for bowl eligibility.
Yeah, that's a fun stat too, by the way. If Vanderbilt and Missouri both win on Saturday, then Texas A&M is going to be the only SEC team not bowl eligible.
Which is crazy. I mean, dude, they had so much hype going into the season, and literally you just can't even talk about them anymore.
I had them at 7-5, man. I thought I guess I was too generous with them.
Yeah.
Auburn and Bama over 50, which I liked. I took a look at that for my over. I think Auburn is going to cover this game. They are not my pick, but I think 26 points. I got it at 26. I think it's down a little bit. Too many points for a rivalry game. Auburn's trending up. Bama may have quit. We'll see. But I like Auburn in that game. I like over 52. I think that's a good one. And then Ohio State, Michigan under 56, which I have also played, but is not my under for the week. So I like all those.
Yeah, I like them too.
Okay, so we can start with our favorites. You can go ahead.
Yeah, let me see. I didn't have one picked out necessarily, but
I can do mine real quick while you look, unless you got it.
Let me look for a second. Actually, no, I have mine. Yeah, this is ratty, but I really like it. Washington minus 2 versus Washington State. Washington's kind of on a roll, and I like them. I think they win this game. I think they finish off a pretty decent season. 10-2.
I don't hate that whatsoever. I'm between 2 as well. I got UNC at minus 6.5, which I like.
But I like that one too. I took like a little parlay for tomorrow, and I have the money line in it because I didn't have the balls to lay the 6.5 because NC State is still like kind of frisky. Even
they have a good defense.
Yeah,
that would probably be a good game for the under, even though UNC overs have been crazy this year. But Devin Leary's been out for a couple months now, so
yeah.
I actually don't have a ton of plays this week. I'm between that and Ohio State minus 7. I think I bought that down though, so just give me UNC minus 6.5. It's kind of ratty, but it is what it is. We're in the last week.
Yeah,
actually, we'll do. I thought about this too. I wanted to float this. I keep forgetting to talk about it. We definitely need to do a bowl special with Big E and maybe even Larson or somebody. We'll get a bunch of guys on it. We'll do a huge bowl special. We'll pick all the bowl games, and that'll be fun.
Absolutely. We'll have to you have like a certain amount of picks that you can take, and it can be like anything. Like the only thing you can't take is like big favorites or something like that. Obviously. But
I like it though. I like it. All
right, here's your underdog. My underdog. Did Cole take Oregon State for his? Oh no, he didn't.
He had Missouri.
Yeah, I think I might take Oregon State plus 3.
All right.
Versus Oregon. It seems too good to be true, and like for Oregon right there, minus 3. I mean, they're definitely better than Oregon State, but Oregon State's been pretty solid this year, and it just feels right for Oregon to just really disappoint everybody. It's year 1 though for Dan Lanning, and I hate to talk on Dan Lanning, but Oregon just has that like stigma that they just always blow it. So
I understand. I definitely understand. Man, this line has moved like crazy. So I was going to take Auburn, but Auburn's actually moved down a lot. So let me get Vanderbilt plus 14 against Tennessee. I can't stop looking at the tweet about allegedly Jeremy Banks and Hendon Hooker getting in a fight over NIL. Heupel suspending Banks and the defense being so pissed off at the offense that they gave up 9 touchdowns. And Vanderbilt's hot, man. Vanderbilt wants to go to a bowl. I feel like Vanderbilt's going to be frisky. I feel like Tennessee may have quit. I'm not doing this to hate on Tennessee. I kind of want Vanderbilt 2 touchdowns. I'll take Vanderbilt 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, they really, I mean, surely they didn't like quit. They love Josh Heupel, man. Like he's such a good coach. Surely nobody'd ever quit on him, but But yeah, I like that. I think Vandy gives them a run for their money on Saturday, and I can't wait to watch it.
I'll get it out of the way too. That is also my over.
That's your over too. Okay,
Yeah.
I like that. I definitely could see a lot of points being scored.
64 because I think Tennessee could beat them 64-0, maybe.
Yeah, they definitely. I mean, the only thing is Joe Milton is playing in that game, and Tennessee fans are really excited about Joe Milton, but
he just throws the ball as hard as he can. I'm gonna take a rain check on my over. You go ahead and do yours. I might keep it. I'm gonna look a little bit.
I got this one. Early in the year, James Madison was like one of the highest scoring offenses in the country, and looking at this game, like this is completely on a whim. But James Madison, Coastal Carolina, I don't know why the spread is 14.5. Like maybe I'm missing something there, but I like the over 53 in that one. Both those teams can score for sure. And so I'll go over 53 in Coastal Carolina, James Madison.
Let's go ahead. Give me your under real quick while I do this.
All right. I'll go Purdue, Indiana under 54.
Okay. I like that. I actually like that a lot. Wow.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take that.
Purdue this year has been terrible offensively. Terrible.
Indiana has been awful. The only time Purdue plays well is if they are literally playing a ranked team.
Yeah, no, if they play somebody half decent, they play well, but they're playing Indiana, who is awful. So
I agree.
I like under 54 there.
I'm gonna go with the dogs. Under 52.5. I alluded to it earlier. I can see this being a Kirby Smart. Let's get control of this game. I don't think Tech's offense is going to do anything. 38-0 type of game. 41-0.
We've seen a few of those in the
years. Oh my God, what was it? Sanford. That was the easiest bet I made all year. It was Sanford, Georgia, 52.5.
That was free.
Yeah, I think it'll be a similar outcome. I'll take the under in that one. Also loved Illinois Northwestern under 37. That one's gonna
I just looked at that one and I was like,
it's gonna be a slow.
I haven't even looked at the board that much this week because I've been like kind of going daily with betting. Usually during college football season, it's like I look at the board and I put all my plays in before Wednesday. But with all this college basketball on, like I'm taking stuff every night. So
yeah. Let me do. This is terrible radio. I'll just stick with my original. Whatever.
Yeah.
Let's ride with it.
Yeah. I mean, the board this week, when I'm looking at it right now, doesn't look that appealing at all. But I do.
Me neither.
Some of the big games are huge, though. USC Notre Dame is going to be awesome, and Auburn Alabama is always awesome, obviously. And then you got Ohio State Michigan, and those are like the 3-time slots. So I mean, you got games to watch at every time slot. So
I only have 8 plays this week, and 2 of them are same game Ohio State Michigan because I have the under in Ohio State. So that's
yeah. I'm gonna check in on freaking Mississippi State right now. I took them +2 tonight.
I had the under in that game, and I have Patriots money line. I don't have anything on action as far as the scoring notification, so that bodes well for me.
Yeah, it's still 14-16.
Beautiful.
In the beginning of the fourth.
Beautiful. Well, hey, let's go finish it. Unless you got anything else, I'm good if you are.
Yeah, that's it for me. I just can't wait to beat up on these guys again. It's always fun. It's a little bit annoying, like when you have to like listen to them like talk for like a minute, like they actually think they have a chance when they know they don't. I mean,
they know deep down. Well, we'll be back. We'll be back Monday. We'll have the whole crew. We'll be doing our usual. We'll be back on schedule. We've had a couple of scheduling conflicts. We'll be back on schedule this week. We'll have the whole crew back Monday doing the recap show, and then Thursday we're going to get into some SEC championship talk. We might have a clearer playoff picture. We might not, but we're heating up, guys, and we're definitely going to get into some basketball next week.
Yeah, we can talk about the UAB game a little bit. I mean, it was the first half was awesome. The first half was great. We looked good, and then I kind of saw it coming in the second half. Just the way the first half ended, we had a pretty decent lead, and then we just couldn't keep up scoring with them. Like they score very
Charlie
well.
Walker's so good. So is Chris Gaines. Like UAB, by the way, and it was so funny because I had some people like in other fan bases like trying to make fun of me, like sending that. I'm like, you realize UAB is like 100% going to the tournament, right? Like they might actually make like a Sweet 16. Like they could actually make some noise. They're a good team.
No, yeah. I mean, Tennessee fans they're such big morons that they're just literally trying to cling to anything they can, and they're making fun of our basketball team now.
Yeah, they just now started watching basketball like 3 years ago, just how they started watching football this year, and they just started watching baseball last year. So they're new to it. They don't understand. They only watch their own team, even though they lost to Colorado at home. They don't like to talk.
They got ran out of the gym by Colorado at home.
Oh my gosh, yeah, that was a rough one to watch. But coming up, we do have East Tennessee State on Sunday. I might go to that game. I don't know. I got to study a little bit. I got finals coming up, and then we have Hampton on Wednesday. That seems like it'd be a good one to go to. Should be two easy wins, and then I think that's when we have Tech at. We have Florida A&M at home after that, and then we have Tech at State Farm Arena. So we got 3 bye games.
We play Tech at State Farm Arena too.
Oh, that's Notre Dame. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I got those mixed up. We play at Tech and then at State Farm Arena after that.
Sweet.
Yeah. But we got a couple bye games coming up. But once we get into the meat of the conference schedule too, and football cools down, which hopefully it doesn't cool down till about the end of January.
Yeah.
We'll definitely be all in on basketball. But hey, so far we're 2 wins off of Tom Crean's win total last year. So
no, I mean it's definitely been a lot more promising this year than it has been in the past 2 years. I mean, we actually look like a half decent basketball team at times, which is always nice. You don't look like they're just running up the floor doing nothing, like just sprinting as fast as they can. So that's good.
There's effort on defense. There's effort on the boards, and sometimes the shots aren't falling, and I can live with that if you're playing hard defense and you're going for rebounds and you're actually running an offense. I can buy into that. That's the main thing. And people say,
and those will come. The offense will come. The shots will fall eventually. They'll get into that. They'll get used to it, and it'll come eventually. So I believe in Mike White still. I really like him. So
like I said, we're pending we win all 3 of these bye games coming up before we're gonna have more wins before just November ends than Tom Crean had all last year. So
yeah. That
I don't know how you can be upset about that.
Yeah, you can't at all. I mean, he inherited the worst possible thing that you can inherit in basketball.
I had 3 players that stayed. 3 players on the roster.
Yeah, so it can only go up from here,
Exactly. But we appreciate y'all tuning in as always. Like I said, we'll be back in the swing of things. We'll have our live show Monday, and then we'll be back. Wednesday, Thursday. Thanksgiving's a little different, so you'll probably be hearing this Friday morning, but we'll be back next Thursday, ready to talk some SEC championship. Have a little chirps at some LSU fans, not naming anybody in particular, but you might know who we're talking about. But yeah, we're excited. Let's get a win this weekend and go Dogs.